trade window is just around the corner. Who is Essendon going to get and why? G'day Bomber fans, it's great to be back with you for another video. It's been a few months since I've done one of these, but with the podcast slowing down, I've had some time to prepare this video for you all. Now, silly season is almost here. The trade window is going to be open, trade radio will be on, and it'll get a little bit silly, as we all know, as we start to rumour about who may be coming to Essendon, who may be going, and we know it's always a bit of fun that time of the year. So for this video today, I'm going to go through 3 players who've been linked quite heavily recently with Essendon, and discuss why I think they may be good selections for us. So what I'm going to do is I've got 3 bits of criteria on how I'd like to evaluate these players and why they may be good fits for Essendon. So the first one is, do they fill a role where we lack depth? Is there a position where we have a limited amount of players and we just need to have more in that position? Number 2, are they better than the existing players that we have right now in that role? If we stack them up, pound for pound, stat for stat, is this play going to be better for us than the guy we've got there now and is going to help us improve? And the third one, can we get them for an appropriate price? Essendon's in a position now where we might not want to be spending draft picks and trading for guys. Free agency might seem like the better option. Can we get these guys without any picks? Can we get them affordably without spending too much money? We obviously do have a bit of money to spend, but we still want to be careful about the way we go about it. So are these guys affordable? Now, I do know there are other things that come into it, whether it be culture or maybe even where people are from, that could determine whether or not someone's a good fit for the club. But I'm going to stick with these pieces of criteria for today, and use those to evaluate these players. Okay, so the first player we're going to be looking at today is Jade Gresham of St Kilda. So he's listed as a forward by the AFL, and I'll explain something with that in a moment. 26 years old, 177 centimetres, 81 kilograms, total games 136, and he debuted in 2016. Now, it is worth noting the AFL has classified him as a forward, so his ratings are based on that. He did attend 156 centre bounces over the season, which shows he's not just a small forward, he's been a midfield type as well. So, going through his stats, disposals is rated elite for a forward, kicks is rated elite for a forward, but again, these are going to be pretty skewed. Goals, average 0.9, goal assists 0.4 is average. Tackles inside 50, below average, 0.8. But if you're spending more time up the ground, then that would explain that. Score involvements, though, above average, which is quite good at 5.3, which is good for a forward. So we like to see that. That's something that's pretty promising. Now, what we have to determine with Gresham is that what is his ideal role going to be for Essendon, and is that where we need him? Does he fill a role that we lack depth in? If he's playing as a midfielder, no. Hard no. We don't need him, simply. We've got enough midfielders as it is, particularly ones who are under 6 foot. We don't need to be adding to that list of guys. But if the idea is him to predominantly play as a forward, maybe push up the ground occasionally when we need him to, then I think it's a yes. Our small forwards as they are right now, they're not world beaters by any stretch. We've got some young guys who've got a fair bit of improvement left in them still to come. But there are other guys there who can easily be replaced, and they've been around long enough that we kind of know what they can and can't do and where their limitations lie. And, you need to look to improve. So the first player I'd like to compare him with is Will Snelling. Now, Snelling's not actually contracted for next year at this point in time. It is looking like he may be delisted, and if we do get Gresham, I think the writing's on the wall for Snelling. But look, almost identical profiles there between these two guys. Same age, height, 2 centimetres apart, same weight. Gresham's obviously played a lot more football compared to Snelling. Now, looking at their 2023 stats, Gresham averages more goals despite being further up the ground at times, more disposals we can see. Tackles is pretty similar. Snelling does have more tackles inside 50, which again we can explain to where they've been positioned on the ground. Goal assists, pretty much the same. And score involvements, Gresham does lead him there with 5.3. The next player I'd like to compare him with is Matt Guelphy. So again, a pretty similar profile, same age. Guelphy is slightly taller and a little bit bigger. Games played, though, Gresham has played a bit more, with Guelphy being a more mature player when he was drafted to the team. Now, if we look at these stats, though, Guelphy does average more goals this season. Obviously, disposals again for Gresham, as I explained with the midfield thing. Tackles, more for Gresham. Tackles inside 50, Guelphy leads them. This one I found quite interesting. Goal assists, so Gresham, 0.5 per game, whereas Matt Guelphy's down at 0.2. Playing as a small forward, goal assists are almost as important as goals. You need to be bringing other people into the game, whether it's by handballs or by kicks or doing things to get involved, and he's not really doing that much, is Matt Guelphy. Score involvement's there. Gresham does lead him. Now, the last small forward that we have is Jai Menzies, comparing the profiles here. Menzies obviously a lot younger, slightly bigger frame, only played the 23 games compared to Gresham. Stats-wise, Menzies, more goals, obviously disposals again to Gresham, tackles for Gresham, tackles inside 50, Menzies done more, and again, as we've explained, Gresham's probably spent a bit more time at the ground this season. Goal assists are the same, score involvements, it is in favour of Gresham there. So the question we've got to asking ourselves is that if Gresham is going to be playing as a predominantly forward player, occasionally pushing up to that half-forward role, is he better than these guys currently? Menzies very young. Now, at this point in time, Gresham is probably a better player than him, but we hope that Menzies is going to keep growing. He's going to become a better player in the future. The ones we've got to compare him to are to Guelphy and Will Snelling. And I don't think it's a question that Gresham's a better player than Will Snelling. And there's a lot of arguments to say that he's a better player than Matt Guelphy as well. So if we're looking at the guys who are playing in similar positions to him of where I think he would be playing for Essendon, I think it's a yes. I think he's better than these guys. So I'm going to give this one a tick. Last one, can we get him at an appropriate price? He is a restricted free agent, which means we don't have to give up draft picks to get him, but St Kilda can match the offer that we've made. It sounds like they want him to stay. They've put an offer in front of him, so it may come down to us offering him more money or potentially a longer deal. I'm expecting it somewhere to be around 3 or 4 years if we were to go down this route. You'd expect the offer to be probably around the $600,000 a year mark, maybe a little bit more if St Kilda really want him to stay. We do have the cap space though, but again, we want to be careful. We don't want to be splurging on players. So look, I think it is an appropriate price. I think we can afford it right now, and I think it is an improvement. So I'm going to give him a tick. Let me know what you think about Gresham, and then we'll get on to the next player. Our next guy is big old Todd Goldstein, ruckman, 35 years old, 201 centimetres, 101 kilos, 315 games, debuted in 2008, all the way back then. If you're watching this video and you don't know who Todd Goldstein is, well, you might be new to footy. That's all I'll say. So this one's a little bit more straightforward than Gresham because it's less about him coming in to replace someone straight away and more about the fact that we've just now got a void that's been left by Andrew Phillips retiring. We need a third option in the ruck. We need a third backup option. Sam Draper, clearly number one. Nick Bryan has done enough to take the number 2 position, and now we need to look to have a backup player who can help these guys when something goes wrong, there's an injury crisis, and we need to bring other options in for the team. So we need a player who is happy to be that third string ruckman, which is hard to find. A lot of people want to be the number one. They want to get games. They want to be there. Whereas this guy's been playing since 2008. He's played over 300 games. He's very experienced. He's starting to look at the next phase of his life. How I can see this being set up is that he would come in to play for a year and then move into this ruck coaching role. Mark Jamar and Tom Bellchambers has obviously been floating around the club for a while as, ruck coaches, and I can see Goldie being, moved into one of those positions. He's got a good relationship with Brad Scott. He's very experienced, and I think there's a lot for him to be able to teach Draper and Bryan, not just in basic ruck work, but in professionalism. This guy's played until 35 years old as a ruckman, so he's clearly looking after his body. He knows what's right. He knows how to get out there every single week and keep fronting up. So does he fill the role that we need? Yes, we need a third backup ruckman, and Phillips is gone. McBride's been delisted. We don't have another option. We may go to the draft and pick up a fresh kid, but I think we have bigger issues to fix with the draft at the moment and other areas to target. So bring a guy in who's a stopgap for 1 year, who ideally never has to play, but also can be a very good presence around the club. So I'm going to give it a tick in that sense. And lastly, can we get him at an appropriate price? Yes, unrestricted free agent. He's going to cost us little to nothing. And yeah, I can see this getting done. So look, in summary, it's a sensible move as a backup player. It Again, don't get confused thinking this guy's going to be playing over the guys we've got right now. He's not. He's a purely depth backup in case of emergency type player. He will know that, he'll understand that, and he'll be there to help and push Draper and Bryan. So, yeah, I'm okay with it. Lastly, Big Ben Mckay, the key defender, 25 years old, 202 centimetres, 104 kilos, 71 games total in his career so far. Debuted in 2017. Now, this is the one that has been spoken about at length all season. There's been lots of rumours about Ben. There's lots of rumours about whether or not we're going to get him. Since preparing this video today, Brandon Zerk-Thatcher has requested a trade to Port Adelaide, which means we have a massive spot opening up for a key defender. Even if BZT was staying, I would have thought we would have still gone after Ben because we needed depth in that area anyway. Now that BZT is going, we absolutely need someone to fill that position. Reid is simply not ready. His body's been an issue so far. Lewis Hayes hasn't played an AFL game. And Kane Bulben, he's not a number one key defender. He's a support key defender. He can take a second or a third, forward as opposed to the number one guy. So does he fill a role that we lack? Yes, absolutely more yes. Even more so with BZT leaving. Absolutely we need him. Now, let's compare him to the guys that we've had so far. So this is how he stacks up against BZT in terms of a profile. Very, very similar, in age and stuff like that. Obviously, a bit bigger than BZT, weighs a bit more. He's played a few more games as well. But the stats is where I find it a bit more interesting. So marks, BZT, slightly more, but we have played a possession game at times this season, so that can pad that out. But these are the other ones that are more interesting. So contested marks, Ben Mckay averages 1.2 per game versus BZT's 0.5. BZT never been known for being a player who, takes a lot of big contested marks in the back 50, where this is an option for Ben. Intercept marks, 2.7 versus 1.6. Intercept possessions, 5.5 versus 5 for BZT. Spoils the same. This next one's quite interesting. So this is contested defensive one-on-one loss percentage. I'll say that again. Contested defensive one-on-one loss percentage. BZT, on average, is losing 31% of the time in those one-on-ones. Ben Mckay only losing 23.5%. Unfortunately for BZT, he had the most goals conceded on him by a defender this year with 53. Now, the other option we can compare him with is Jaden Laverty, who's played down there for a fair while. Again, slightly more marks, but contested marks, more than Mckay, more intercept marks for Mckay, more intercept possessions for Mckay, spoils more for Mckay, and then that one-on-one percentage rate, Mckay does beat out Laverty. Laverty, 29.1%. He loses, whereas Mckay only 23.5%. So, comparing to the guys that we have at the club right now and had, if BZT is leaving, which looks to be the case, then yes, he is an improvement on the guys that we have statistically. He's a big body, as we know, who can, help us with the Hawkins and the Hogans of the world that we really struggled with this season. The last question for him is, can we get him at an appropriate price? Now, he is a free agent, restricted free agent, so we don't have to spend draft picks on him, just like with Jade Gresham. But North want a first-round compensation pick for him. So they're expecting a club, whether it's us or Sydney or someone else, to be offering enough money that it triggers the clause to get them the first-round compensation pick that they want. This is looking likely being north of 800k per year, potentially more, maybe even 850 or 900, depending on how this works out. That's a lot of money. Is Ben Mckay worth that much money? I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure about it. What would likely happen is Essendon maybe do some sort of front-end deal where he might be getting, 900, 800 in that first year or two, and then it kind of tapers off from there, potentially. But that's a lot of money. I'm not sure if he's worth that much, but we're in a position now with BZT leaving that a hand is kind of forced. We have to get someone in. We have to get a replacement in. And this has almost made it better for Ben. He can... him and his agent can argue with the club being like, well, you need me more, so pay me the extra 50 or the extra 100 or whatever it is to get him over the line. Unless, of course, they've already agreed to something behind closed doors that we don't know about. But with BZT out the door, it is urgent that we replace him. And look, I don't want to be in a position where we have to trade for someone like a Dougal Howard or, I'm not sure who else is around there, Shacky. I'm just talking off the top of my head here. We don't want to be in that position. We want to get someone in, lock them away, and be happy with it. So, look, appropriate price. Look, I'll tick it and say yes, but, it does feel like a lot of money, but we can afford it right now. So there's the 3 players that Essendon are looking at. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and comment below. Let me know, what do you think of Mckay? What do you think of Gresham? What do you think of Goldstein in those roles that I explained? Are they a good fit for us? Do they help us improve? Do they give us cover where we need them? Is there another player that you think is worth discussing, and maybe I can do a video on them as well? And even, what do you think about BZT leaving and how that's going to affect us? Podcast back next Monday, so if you do listen to the show or watch the show here on YouTube, make sure to check that out. But yeah, please like and share, comment below, and go Bombers.